Hey guys, what we have here is called the DAP cap, and it's a quick cheap tool review. Um, I have found through the years of caulking that I've tried a few different tools, and I keep going back to this one. I absolutely love it. More for the finishing in places that aren't always 100% square. So we're gonna caulk a couple lines and show you what I love about this tool and the lines that you can get from it. Alright, so here we go. So most important thing when you're caulking is your cut on your actual caulk tube. This is what allows you most of your control for your clean lines. But then you're always going to have your screw ups and your oh craps, that sort of thing. So here we go. We're going to throw this line up here. Not too shabby. So got this guy, got a little water on him. The reason why I love this one for this kind of stuff is, unlike some of them where you have the silicone, but they're perfect 90s, all of them. So this one allows you to throw an edge one way or another just by simply turning it, using it backwards, that sort of thing. So then to clean up, there's one line. So we got a little extra on there. And then you can come back in, and without going back and hitting your edge, you can nicely shave the extra stuff off. Just a little bit less cleanup after everything dries. Whereas if you're using one of the ones with the silicone corners, I mean, you don't have any choice on which way the angle is going to go, because they only fit in one way. Whereas this guy, what you can do with this as far as maneuverability, I like a lot more, and believe it or not, it's cheaper than all the rest. So, gonna get it wet again. And then grab this corner. And here's where I really like it, because you can come back in and shave that extra garbage that you made a mess out of the way. Now, you're not always going to need one. Once you start getting used to caulking, you eventually will just know how to use the gun and your pressure, so that way you have a nice clean line come out the first time, or closer to. And I mean, if my best buddy sees this video, he's gonna be laughing because I sucked at caulk. Like, I could do a lot of things, but one thing, like, for whatever reason, I always had caulk lines that looked like this. Like, they were just, I mean, maybe not that bad, but they were just, it was horrible. I could just never get control of the gun and just get the lines to come out clean. so on and so forth. And that's actually why a few years ago I actually grabbed one of these and decided to see how well it would do. And it not only did it obviously clean up a lot of the stuff, but it made me a lot better at caulking. So in there, I mean, that was a horrible one. And that first swipe, it cleaned up that line pretty well compared to what it was. And then you just make sure you get it wet. Come back in, and you can scrape the corners. And then that way, if you got a really gnarly one like that, once it dries too, you can come back in, damp cloth, and just kind of wipe away the edges a little bit. This being rough cedar makes it even harder when it's wet, just because it kind of mushes in there. But still, you can kind of see, cleans it up really well. And for only like $3.50, I mean, hell, you can't argue with it. And if you want to, you can even use it as a cap, which I honestly was thinking about it earlier. I don't think I ever have. But we're going to jump up, and we're going to do one more. Alright, so we got a pretty gnarly line here, don't we? A lot of shadow in there. What the caulk is going to do, obviously, help clean it up. You don't see the shadow, you don't notice it as much. So let's see what this tool can really do. Okay, here's where it's getting really wide. So I'm just gonna, for conversation's sake, just pack a bunch in there so we can really let this tool do what it's supposed to. Okay, so got a lot of excess caulk there. Got my bucket of water, so that line up top is pretty clean. So I'm going to use it the opposite way and actually drag it up. So there, it blended that pretty well. Look at all that extra stuff. Ugh, what a waste. So we still got that extra stuff on the edge there. So now I can come back in. Clean off. Shoop. Even more of that screw up. That's a lot right there. Wiped clean. Get it wet again. Clean that edge. Give you guys a little bit better view here. Okay, now I'm going to come in. Oop, too much extra. Got it wet. I'm going to run it the way you're supposed to. Even more. Tons of it. Okay, so you can see I got that extra right on the edge here. All wet. I'm going to come and just cut that corner. There we go. Really glad caulk is so cheap. Pretty well cleaned up. And then, so with that extra caulk I just pulled off the first time, I made a huge mess down here. And it still cleaned it up. And it even got out of the rough cedar cracks, which that's kind of nice. But again, I mean, for $3 and like 50 cents, I think, I'll throw a link down below so you guys can see what it is on Amazon. But I mean, this thing is just great to have. It doesn't take up much room, and it gives you a lot more mobility as far as your angle choices, especially when you're doing older remodels or stuff that's not perfectly square. As you can see, look at these stairs here. I mean, we got different spacings because this whole flight of stairs is like 1.5 inches wobbly. It's insane. But that aside, that's my thoughts. This thing, it's just a great little tool to have. Really kind of class up your caulk lines, or even in the long run make you a better caulker, because then you'll start paying attention and seeing better ways to run the gun, so you're using this less and less. But yeah, hands down, strongly recommend anyone doing this kind of stuff. Spend the $3.50. It will make your work turn out that much better. Thanks for watching, guys.